Merry meet everyone. Tonight I'm going to do a quick video. I've got a wedding candle to make, and I wanted to show you a bit of how I would go about making it. I've already started the candle. I'm calling it my Wish for You candle. I was kind of going through trying to figure out a spell. I like to engrave the words on the wax on the body of the candle whenever I make one. So I was trying to write a spell or a poem or something that could go on this, but nothing was really working. Every time I'd kind of sit down to try to focus and think of what I wanted to put, it kept coming off as lists. I want this for you. I want that for you. I hope that you have so on and so forth. So what I've done is, I don't know if you can necessarily see it in the camera, but I started in one part and would wrap around a sentence and go through the entire body of the candle, writing out those lists. Like, may you have wisdom to know which fights to fight and which fights to hug out, or things similar to that. I've already gone through and engrave those onto the body of the candle. If you're looking to engrave things onto a candle, a thing that I found that works out really well is taking a mechanical pencil and not pushing out any lead, but instead just using the plastic nub, for lack of a better term, on the end, and it writes just like handwriting. I've used needles, I've used knives, things like that, and it just never really worked the same. It didn't feel as fluid, but this works great. So that is my handy dandy tip for engraving on wax. So I've got that all done already. What I'm going to do next is dress the candle with oil. I'm going to be using my love oil here, because above all else I wish them love. And I'm just going to dip a bit of it on my finger. And I start at the top of the candle and I work clockwise because I want these energies to be brought into them. And I work my way from the outer edge into the inner. So start on the out and then work down until I'm right by the wick. And then I do the same thing with the body of the candle. And I start on the top and work my way down because as I want these energies and wishes to come true for my friends, I also want the energy to be grounded. I know I, for one at least, when it comes to relationships, I can get very dramatic, very carried away with things, very, oh my gosh, the world is over with this fight or that fight. And grounding is so important. Both Emily and Nicole are pretty grounded individuals, so I don't worry about that too much with them. But that is why I'm doing it from top to bottom, because although I want all of these things to come to fruition for them, I do want all of these wishes to come true and want all of these things to guide them through their marriage, but I want their marriage to be very grounded. So there we go. And if you notice, sometimes I'll catch little drips, kind of not coagulating, but kind of dripping down. Just kind of clear those up. Okay, as we can see, I've already got a little bit, some herbs already on there. But now that it is dressed, I'm going to roll it in some herbs. I call this the Eric Silvermoon technique. I'm sure other people do it as well, but he was the first person I saw doing it, and it really struck a chord with me. I loved the idea and the technique. So thank you, Eric, if you are watching this. I'm just going to move my candle up out of the way. I've got 9 herbs that I'm going to roll this candle in. I've blended, I had a couple of them that I wildcrafted. Some, might not be able to see them too hot in there, but I've got some roses and some lilac. Lilac for wisdom, because oh my goodness, yes, you need wisdom in a marriage, as well as good memories. I want them to make good memories. That's such an important part of any relationship. And also beauty and love. Beauty is one of those things where I find as long as you can remember, physical beauty is great, but I think there's always something that is not physical that makes your partner just so incredibly beautiful to you. And I want them to always remember that. There we go. And then I also have roses. Roses, obviously, love. I did use red because I want it to be, and it's a really deep red, so I like that as well. So it is that, a little bit more of that passionate love. I want that to sustain them through their marriage because that is important to have. Then I have some anise. I'm going to sprinkle that on there. Anise is great for power. It's good for amping up psychic vibrations. I usually like to add some sort of an herb or component to do that in all of my crafting, just because I like heightening that. I believe it also is a good purifier or cleanser. If it's not, I've actually had experiences where it has helped with that, just kind of shaking off negativity. So I do want that aspect to be with them as well. And also, I want to say fertility. I really haven't done much fertility work for myself because, yeah, I have a minion. I'm good. But the thing is oftentimes I'm really discovering the more I go down my path and learn about crafting, the more I need to stop being so literal with things, because I can do a lot of fertility work in my life. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be with child anytime soon. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. There's all different kinds of prosperity, all different kinds of fertility. All right, next I've got some jasmine. I love jasmine. I love the scent. Even when it's dried, it has this really beautiful, calming scent, which I love so much. It almost has kind of an ancient, and I like that because it is very closely related to the moon and the goddess, and so it really connects me to that spiritual realm, which I do want for them as well. They are both, I don't know that they necessarily chat about it, but they are both very spiritual people, and they're very open. That's one of the things I love most about them. So now we've got some yarrow. Yarrow, very good for love. Very much about marriage. It's supposed to keep the marriage sweet, keep it happy and healthy. It's a sacred herb of hand fastings. All these herbs and flowers and what have you, by the way, I did find to be connected to hand fastings. So now we've got rosemary. Rosemary, obviously great for protection, great for energy, love. It also works with remembrance, keeping the good memories. I believe it is a tradition, or was a tradition at hand fastings, to be given out to the guests of the wedding, or hand fasting, or however you want to phrase it or look at it, so that they could mark the occasion. They could remember the happiness and jolliness of that occasion. Alrighty, so let me see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next we have some elderflowers. And with elderflowers, I believe there is a love connection. I actually keep putting this in there because it is also a connection to this is going to come off weird, and I don't mean it to, but it does have a death cycle connection. Now, death cycle might seem a little odd to want to be represented in a marriage candle, but the reality is it is kind of a death cycle. Not to put a grim look on it, because I certainly don't mean it to, but you are ending one phase of your life. You're going from kind of this maidenhood or, you know, bachelor, bachelorette, singlehood, and you're becoming a couple. I mean, you've been a couple, but now you are actually unifying. You are becoming one. It is a new branch to your life that you are embarking on. So I like that connection. I also like the connection because I see it as being kind of connected to your ancestors, connected to your past. And I think that's awesome as well. And I am so sorry. You are so catching like all the junk on the freezer there. Yeah, there's no helping that. Please ignore the junk in the background. Let's fix that. Sorry. Okay. Now we've got some lavender. And just like I like the anise for spicing things up, kind of giving us a bit more energy, a bit more power and oomph, I like the lavender for the opposite reason. I like the calming effect. No emotions can run high, and sometimes you just need that calming part to kind of remember, okay, this fight might not be worth having right now. It's really not that big of a deal. And of course, as I added that, I did kind of bruise the lavender so that those oils and scents could be released. Oh, it smells so good. And then the dreaded marjoram. I know, I'm sorry. So I'm going to add that, and that's for warmth, happiness. I believe it has ties with friendship as well, and I like that because Emily and Nicole did begin as friends, and that's always good to have that connection. I think if you kind of just jump off the wagon and just are immediately, boom, we're together, it's great, but you need to build that friendship. You need to be, at least I think it helps being best friends with your partner. It helps make everything easier. And not necessarily easier, that's probably the wrong word, but it's one of those things when you're out and about, if you don't sit there and think, oh, if the other one's not there, if you don't have that moment of, gosh, you know, I'm having fun, but I'd have so much more fun if so-and-so were here because they are my best friend, then something's missing. I like having that friendship aspect in relationships, and especially in marriage. I think it's helpful. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. All 9. So now we're gonna, it did kind of work better this time. I keep trying to roll, and it ends up kind of being more of a muck than anything. I tend to just kind of toss things up there. Let's fix that a little. There we go. As I'm adding this, I'm thinking of all those positive energies that I want to be giving them. I'm thinking of the words that I put on the candle. I'm thinking of all the connections I want them to make, of all the promises I want them to have and keep with each other. Just all good stuff. I know a lot of times I'll use the phrase warm fuzzies, and that's really what this is about. I'm putting those warm fuzzies into the candle as I press the herbs and flowers and what have you into it. These are really just not sticking all that well. I should have probably ground them up a little bit finer, but you know what? In the end, the intent is there, the love is there, that's what matters. So it might be a little Okay, a lot lighter. I am not liking how this is turning out. But you make it work, right? That is what it is all about. Okay. So that is the basic. Actually, it's not turning out too bad. I'm probably going to work on this for a little bit longer. Kind of see if I can't shred these bad boys down a little bit more, get them deeper into the candle, get them more spread apart. And so they stick a little bit easier. But that, even if not, I'm as long as some more of the rose and probably some of the lilac gets on there a bit more, I'll be happy with it. I kind of like how it's looking. I am, of course, going to add wax to the top. I've got red for, again, that love and fiery energy. And then I also have black for binding, protection, and just kind of a focus. I think black for me really represents concentration and focus. And I think that is so important, again, to have in a relationship. I'm going to put that over the top and let it kind of drip down. I'm going to add some crystals to the top of it, as well as 3 herbs. I'm going to do 1 herb to represent Nicole, 1 herb to represent Emily, and 1 herb to represent the sign of Virgo. Their wedding is on the 13th, which amazing goddess number, right? So excited. But also it is the new moon in Virgo. So it's just so perfectly planned. You've got the new moon, so it's all about new beginnings, beginning new cycles, beginning new things. Super excited for them. I think that was beautiful. I don't know if they planned it that way, but kudos. And then you have the Virgo, which it's very, very much about responsibility, very much about focus, and kind of that determination feeling, I find, at least. I could be wrong, but very grounding again, so I like that. But because of that, I did want to add a Virgo representative onto the candle. So they've got 1 bride, 2 brides, and the sun and moon sign that they're getting married under. So I will post pictures on Facebook of this. Maybe I'll do a quick video after it's done, but I certainly don't want to keep you on there for about 40 minutes or so. I just wanted to give you a rundown on kind of the body of the candle, the engraving, the rolling, and the oil. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope maybe it gave you some inspiration or creative thoughts. As always, many blessings. Good night, guys.